They walk away going, you know what, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of good. I'm worthy of being blessed. I'm worthy of having a good life. I'm worthy of having somebody to love me the way I should be loved. I'm worthy of somebody never putting their hands on me. Once you get to that place in your life, everything that tries to come up against that has to take a back seat because you know your worth, you know? And this isn't about arrogance. This isn't about being cocky. This isn't about it's just understanding that you're worthy simply because you have breath in your body and God says that you are worthy. And when I think about what the things that God thinks of us in the Bible, it talks about his thoughts of us are good and pure to give us a hope. They're good things. So if you realize and understand that fully within your life, if you could grasp that fully, you can understand that you are worthy, and that is, I feel like that is one of the major steps to getting to a higher place in your life.
And I tell you what's amazing is hearing you talk about your mother. It was
we ain't finna talk about her too much, Mike. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna be on this floor and balled up crying.
Don't worry about it, nigga. I will pick you up. We got you. We got you. Yeah. But it seems like a very complicated relationship because your mother was your rock, she was your supporter, she was your everything, and she was in an abusive relationship, went back to the abusive relationship, which in turn meant you were back around the abusive relationship, and you talk about her in the most glowing terms.
Yeah, let me tell you.
How are you able to pull that out of that situation?
Well, let me explain to you who she is. See, this is how I learned to, and I'm going to talk about forgiveness in a minute, but this is how I learned to understand who she was. I looked at her like, okay, her mother died at 13, her father's raising her. This guy comes to town, he says he's rich. Good-looking, handsome guy. I have a ranch in Texas, and girl, I'm going to take you to Texas, I'm going to marry you, and we're going to live together. Now, this is the rural Jim Crow South. Her father is raising 5 children, and she's like somewhere in the middle. So when a man came along in those days and said, you know, they want to marry her, of course she said, okay. So my grandfather looked him up and down and said, no, something's wrong with this man. So he told my mother, she's like, I want to marry, Daddy. Okay, fine. So she's like, he goes in the living room with them. He tells her to turn around. He says, look at her. She doesn't have a scar on her nowhere. If you don't want her, you bring her back to me just like you found her. This is my grandfather saying to him. Yeah. So they go get married. She finds herself in New Orleans. They drove down from a small country town, Amy, Louisiana, to New Orleans. And they're sitting in a nightclub, a juke joint. And they're sitting there for hours, the day of their wedding. Sitting there for hours. And she's like, come on, I'm tired. I want to go to the ranch. He said, girl, I wasn't doing nothing but lying to you. I don't have no damn ranch. I ain't got nothing. And those cars you've been seeing me drive, those are I've been test driving them on the weekends. So there she is, 17 in this moment. And all of a sudden, everybody's saying, stay with him, he's got a good job. Because that was the qualifications of a good man then. So this is really, very, really very hard for a lot of people to understand now where we come from and the generation we were in. But for her, I get it. So she gets pregnant with my sister at 17, then my next sister at 18, and then I could tell she's trying to stop for 4 years. She was really trying not to have another kid, and then I come. So she felt trapped. She had no life skills. She had very little social skills. She didn't know how she would make it without this man. So for a lot of the sacrifices that she made for us to have food and for us to have roof and shelter was to stay in this situation. So looking at it from this point of view, I understand it. It's very difficult, it's very easy for people to go and judge it right away and say, I would never do that. But not understanding the fullness of the circumstances of the situation. Even when I got older and wanted her to move out, I was like, okay, let's go. To what you want, I can buy, where we going? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. She stayed with him, but she loved him. And then I had to wrestle with what is this kind of love? But if that kind of love is to a tormentor, and all you've ever known, there's something called Stockholm Syndrome, where you become you have that kind of connection to your abuser. So I can speak of her in glowing terms, and I don't judge her for it. Yeah. She did the best she could with what she had. Yeah.